So Ann Arbor was just ranked number 2 best places to live in the US according to livability.com. It was a close second to Madison, Wisconsin, and I totally get it. I mean, Madison, Wisconsin's got cheese curds. So got to give them number 1, but Ann Arbor number 2. And I've been talking a lot about these things in these videos of why Ann Arbor is such a great place to live. And this article just solidifies a lot of what I've been talking about. So I wanted to share this with you. So if that interests you guys and you want to hear more about Ann Arbor and why it's the number 2 best place to live in the US, then stick around because we're getting after it right now. Hey, if you're new to this channel and you want to know everything there is to know about eating, sleeping, working, playing, breathing, the good, the bad, and the ugly about living in Ann Arbor, Michigan, then go ahead and consider subscribing and tapping that little bell so you're notified every time we come out with a new video and to learn about the current market right here in Ann Arbor. Hey, what's up you guys? My name is Eric Meldrum. I'm a licensed agent and team leader here with True Living Real Estate Group, and my team and I are making videos just like this on what it's like to live in Ann Arbor and all the surrounding areas. So we're getting calls, texts, emails every single day from people just like you, and you who are thinking about making that move to Ann Arbor, Michigan, and we want to help you do just that. So whether you're making a move in 1 month or 1 year from now, got to get a hold of us any way you can. Give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. I've even put my Calendly link down below so you can schedule a Zoom call with me or one of my teammates, and we'll be happy to, as always, to help you make a smooth move to Ann Arbor, Michigan. All right, guys, so let's get right into it. I know you're patiently waiting to hear why Ann Arbor is the number 2 best place to live in the US. But before we get into that, I looked at the whole entire list, all 100, and one of the big themes that I found was that there was a lot of cities in the Midwest. And I think they're onto something here. The Midwest is very, very underappreciated in the affordability and livability and just quality of life. Now, one of the things that I saw in this article too is that Michigan in particular had 6 of the top 100 rankings. Now, if you're thinking about moving to Michigan just in general, and you came across this video because Ann Arbor came up as one of the best places to live, that's cool. Like, check out Ann Arbor, but here's some other cities to consider. The other rankings were Rochester Hills, Michigan, Troy, Michigan, Royal Oak, Michigan, Kalamazoo, Michigan, and Grand Rapids, Michigan. So if you're thinking about moving to Michigan, you might want to consider any of those other 5 cities in addition to Ann Arbor. All right, so how does livability rank all of these cities and decide where the best places to live are? Well, they went on these categories here, and they were the amenities, the economy, demographics, housing, social and civic capital. I'm not 100% sure I know exactly what that means, but I think I have an idea. Education, healthcare, transportation infrastructure, and remote readiness. I was actually surprised to see this one on the list because this is something new that we're going through in the economy of just figuring out how to work remotely. So they looked at more than 2,000 cities research, more than 50 data points, 8 categories focused on mid-sized cities. And these were cities with less than 500,000 in population. So that's what we can see here. So when we get down to the rankings, like I said, Madison, Wisconsin was number 1. The live score was 725, and that's made up from all the different categories. They had a population of 258,000. And here coming in at number 2 is Ann Arbor. So really quickly, I'll run you through some of the other top 10s. We had Rochester, Minnesota with a score of 671, Naperville, Illinois coming in at 668. We have Overland Park, Kansas City, 666. I don't know that I'd want that. Minneapolis, Minnesota, 662. Fisher, Indiana, 659. Salt Lake City, Utah, 659. And Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 658. These are all very close. And Carmel, Indiana. So as you can see from the top 10, quite a bit of Midwest. Indiana, Minneapolis, Illinois, Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, all here in the Midwest. So now let's take a look at what makes Ann Arbor the number 2 best place to live here in the US. All right, so Ann Arbor's total live score was 686, and this was made up from all the categories that they looked at, which was the civics, the demographics, the economy, the education, the health care, the housing, the infrastructure, and amenities. And these rankings totaled 686, making it the number 2 best place to live in the US. Now, they go through a couple different highlights here in the article. Why is Ann Arbor one of the best places, best cities to live in? And they, no surprise, within the second sentence, something about the University of Michigan comes up because the University of Michigan is such a large part of what's going on here in Ann Arbor. And let me explain why this is. So there's the University of Michigan for what we know as the university, right? So tons of academics, tons of sports, that go on in the city. We have a lot of people that work for the university in general, but the other half of the university, which we don't hear often about, is the University of Michigan healthcare system. That's a very large employer. So when you look at both of those combined with not only education and academics, but the healthcare system, University of Michigan quickly becomes the largest employer here in Ann Arbor. And this is one of the reasons why Ann Arbor is also recession proof. So a lot of the past recessions that we've seen, Ann Arbor housing prices, Ann Arbor jobs, Ann Arbor, unemployment rates, they've all stayed relatively unchanged due to the economy. And that's because of the jobs here and the security with the healthcare system. You got to remember, healthcare is an essential need in the economy. So we're not losing doctors, we're not losing nurses, we're not losing healthcare providers and educators when the economy has a downturn. This industry is going to be needed regardless. So this article also points out the fact that the University of Michigan is a talent pipeline for a lot of the companies and organizations that headquartered here, especially in the healthcare and tech sectors. It also notes that this university and the tech startup jobs, they keep the city young at heart, which I totally agree with. There's a vibe about it. I just released our pros and cons of Ann Arbor, and the number one pro was the vibe here in Ann Arbor. So if you haven't watched that video, go check that one out. It's got a lot of great information as well. But definitely feeling young at heart about the city. That I could not agree more with. So some other major industries and employers here in Ann Arbor, in addition to healthcare and education, is automotive research and development. Now, a lot of stuff's happening with automotive in Ann Arbor, specifically in the connected vehicle and autonomous vehicle space. There's a lot of companies making the technology that's going into autonomous vehicles, meaning if you don't know what an autonomous vehicle is, it's basically you're sitting in the car and the car is just driving for you, right? Pretty scary to think about, and I think we're going to get there. But a lot of the research and development is being done by companies right here in Ann Arbor, which is really cool. I remember when I first started seeing a lot of these cars driving downtown Ann Arbor. They had the whole entire car was like a cage with sensors all over it. They have cameras, mounted every corner of the car. And, once I dove into what they were actually doing, because I was part of this industry too, is we were actually supplying a lot of the supply chain components for these vehicles. Is we started looking at like how they're testing all this stuff. And it was cool seeing the cars because they're watching for pedestrians, they're watching for bikes, they're watching for other vehicles. They want to know when the buses are coming. So they're detecting all these objects and they're just collecting data points, right? Is this a person? Is this a bus? Is this a dog? Is this a biker? Like, they have all these data points and they run those through simulations so they can actually make sure they're detecting the right things so the vehicle can stop in time, so the vehicle can obey the traffic laws and the stop signs and all that stuff that you would need to let a vehicle drive on its own. So those cars I see them all over the place in Ann Arbor. They're constantly testing because there's so much going on downtown with foot traffic, bike traffic, and just regular car traffic. It's a great place to do research and development. And then on the university campus, they have specific campuses dedicated and tracks dedicated to testing these vehicles. So it's really cool. If you see those around town, that's exactly what they are. And if you're here in Ann Arbor, you're not going to miss them. All right. So one of the other cool things I saw in this article was the fact that they were grading for remote readiness in these cities, and Ann Arbor ranked definitely high on the list. But I thought that was super interesting that they added this in, because here in 2022, we're in that hybrid phase of like, we went from completely remote working, and then companies decided, well, we're not going to go back. Some companies decided, yeah, we're going to go back into the office, and we need to have a hybrid solution for our employees where we don't necessarily need this huge office space we had before. We can probably get away with a little bit less, but we still need the opportunity for or option for employees to go work at an office. And if you're like me, I can work from home 100% of the time. Got my home office here, got everything I need. That doesn't really bother me, but some people just can't do it. There's too many distractions, or maybe the house isn't set up. So definitely something to take into consideration when moving to a city is, what's around, right? If I can't find a house, or I want to be close to downtown, and I got kids at home, or I got, other distractions at home, or you just physically can't work from home because you mentally can't do it, then what do I do? Well, here in Ann Arbor, we have a ton of co-working spaces, and they highlighted one of those here in the article, which is Work and Tile, which is a 100% member operated and owned co-working space where you can go in, rent a desk, you can rent a room, you can rent whatever basically you need for your organization. And a lot of individual startup companies used to rent these places out, when they're starting their organizations, because they didn't need a whole office space. They just needed a couple desks to be close to the workers and, collaborate and get the company off the ground essentially. And then they would go out and figure out the next step. But here we have a shift, which is large organizations, medium-sized organizations, they're now taking a look at these shared working spaces and saying that might be a good idea for us to get some membership or, a couple desks there to give employees an option so we can downsize and get rid of that lease that nobody's using, right? So this is becoming more popular, and Ann Arbor has a ton of them because of the startup community and the environment that we have with the tech sector here as a spin out of the university. This infrastructure already existed prior to COVID, and it's just really helped a lot of organizations, find that balance between work from home completely or back into the office or some sort of hybrid. So I love that they have that in there. And if you're somebody that is going to be checking out, one of the startup companies here in Ann Arbor, definitely check out a co-working space. If they don't have an office, you can definitely find one. All right, so they had some cool questions here in the article that I want to go over. What is the best local bookstore? Literati bookstore, definitely check that out if you're here in town. How do you spend a weekend in Ann Arbor? Well, go blue, cheer on the University of Michigan Wolverines, whatever sport that you're into. Obviously, football is a big one here in Ann Arbor, but you definitely got to check out Zingerman's Deli as well. I mean, the sandwiches are like this big. They're super expensive, by the way. You're going to go in and pay, close to $20 for a sandwich, but I can assure you for a one-time visit, if you want to just check it out, it's definitely worth it. And most of the time you'll be back because the sandwiches are that good. So what can you do for free in Ann Arbor? Well, this article highlights the University of Michigan Museum of Arts. Now, I think that's a little bit boring for me and my family. We've definitely been there. We love it. It's a great place to go, but dude, my girls are not going to make it 15 minutes. They're going to ask for some sort of candy or a toy or something to play with. And they're just not at the ages where they're going to appreciate going to the museum. So although it's a great place to go, definitely check it out. One of our favorites, to go winter or summer all year round is the Ann Arbor Hands-On Museum. This is a place where they can go tinker with stuff. They can play. They have exercises and little things set up where they can go through and learn about the science of electricity. They can learn about the science of wind. They have water tables, games, and things like that. So in my opinion, if you got kids, definitely check out the Ann Arbor Hands-On Museum. Save that Michigan Museum of Arts for when they're older. All right, so here's a fun one. What is the best way to spend happy hour in Ann Arbor? And they note here that Frida Beditas is great. Coming from a local, I couldn't agree more. Frida Beditas is a fantastic place to spend a happy hour sipping on minty mojitos and cilantro lime salsa. Really fancy. When you get there, it's not going to be as fancy, but it is definitely a good spot to go hang out with friends, have a good conversation, and drink some cocktails and enjoy some good food. So what's something only locals know about here in Ann Arbor? Well, if you've been binge watching a lot of my other YouTube videos, you might already know the answer, but one of our favorite things here locally that is kind of kept a secret is the urban ferry doors. The urban ferry doors are a trail of different businesses that have put ferry doors on the outside of their businesses. It's very small. It's about this big, and you'll see them on corners of buildings, right in front of doors, right next to like little knickknacks. And there's a little door that the ferries enter, and that's supposed to be their house. So it's a really cool, an entertaining thing for the kids to kind of go hunt down all these ferry doors. There's actually a map. Somebody's organized and put together a map and a website so you can find all of them. We'll put that in the description below. Definitely feel free to check that out. But I would say definitely the ferry doors is something only locals know about. And if you're coming here, now you know, and you can check it out. All right, a couple quick facts about Ann Arbor, Michigan. Average commute time is about 19.9 minutes, 20 minutes. I would say that's a little bit long. I don't know how they're judging that. I mean, you can get from Ann Arbor east side to the west side in, I think, 20 minutes. So, everything goes really downtown. So I would say more of like 10 minutes is more of a average commute, but we'll take their word for it. Median home values, $489,000. Median household income, just close to $70,000. Total population, 121. Walkability score of 49, and the median property tax of $6,000 219. All right, so that was just one of the many reasons why Ann Arbor is one of the best places to live here in the Midwest. I've done videos on other topics of why Ann Arbor is such a great place to live, pros and cons, cost of living, best neighborhoods in Ann Arbor, you know, all the information that you'd want to know about moving to Ann Arbor and the surrounding area. Check out all the other videos on this channel. And if you have specific questions about any of them, drop them in the comments below. Or if you have video ideas on cities that I haven't done or places that you're thinking about moving and you want to know more, definitely message me. I can prioritize making those videos or at least have a quick conversation with you to get those questions answered as well. So if you guys are thinking about making a move to Ann Arbor, you got to get a hold of us. Give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. I've even put my Calendly link down below so you can schedule a Zoom call with me or one of my team members. And as always, we'd be happy to help you make a smooth move to Ann Arbor, Michigan. All right, until next time, guys, go out and have an awesome day, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.